Well, hello there, folks. How's it going today? Welcome to part 2 on this old Harmony acoustic. I hope everybody's doing really good today. So, we're going to put an adjustable truss rod in this one. Now, this had the steel reinforced neck, which in the last video we stripped the fretboard off. I peeled out the steel rod, which is similar to a truss rod, it's just non-adjustable. And they never really worked that good. Let's just say that. These old harmonies, true tones, silver tones, Ks, I could keep going, I'm sure, but a lot of them had the steel reinforced neck, and it just really never worked. Now, Martin didn't put an adjustable truss rod in any of their guitars till 1986. They used a T-bar shaped bar and a kind of a square tube, aluminum, and they seem to stay pretty good. So, in any case, I think they just put the adjustable ones in because everyone else was doing it, and it was a good selling point. All right, let's get to the dirty work here. All right, so this is the truss rod that's going in it, and I had to make this just a whisker wider here. Now, I was going to set up the router to do it, which wouldn't be a big deal. And what I ended up doing was this. I took a burring tool like, machinists would use. Mine's kind of plugged up with wood. Let me clean that off a little. So what I ended up doing was taking this burring tool, which was pretty much the right width I was looking for. And I was able to just take my drill and go right down the channel like that, and it's straight as an arrow, and it worked really quick. Honestly, a couple passes and it was done. It would have took me longer to set up the router and do all the you'd have to make a jig to do it, honestly, let's just say it. So it worked. I ain't saying it's the most accurate way, but I'll tell you, it was pretty slick. So what I ended up doing here, now these are wedges from the dovetail, okay? So what I ended up doing, I removed this and drilled a hole through the brace. And what that's going to allow me to do is stick the truss rod in, and the mounting plate here will be flush with the top, and you'll be able to access the adjuster through the brace. I can't really put it in there with one hand, so I'm going to put you in the stand here. Now, something you really need to pay attention to is this: the depth of the route channel here, and the depth of your truss rod. Okay, so when you put your truss rod in there, you want it to fit snug. I mean, you don't want to pound it in, but you want to put a little bit of pressure in there to get it in. And that's how the other one was when I took it out. It was snug, but I did dig it out of there pretty easy after I got it started. You want to make sure that this is flush, okay? You don't want no gap in between the truss rod and the fretboard, and you don't want this protruding up above the neckline, obviously, because when you clamp the fretboard on, it's going to, probably split it in half, first of all. And it's just not going to work out right. So that's something to keep in mind. Other than that, it's really not that difficult from what I can see here. And, there's a few different ways to go about, entering through this way, through the neck block, through the brace. You could actually even put this ahead of the brace. You just have to reach up in there and, hook your Allen key on it or whatever, but in most modern guitars we see it going through the brace a lot now. So that was honestly the trickiest part of the whole process so far, was getting the hole drilled. A right angle drill is really the best, honestly, and that way you can get a nice straight hole through there. And the way this is set up, you have to be pretty much up under the top here. I left a little bit of the brace there on the top and bottom, so it's not right up to the top, but I think what I'm going to do is actually reinforce the sides here. I'll take you in a little closer and show you. Okay, so what I'm thinking about doing, the brace is right here. This is the front side of the brace, and the back side of it's about here. Now, what I'm going to do is take a short piece of probably just some spruce or something, and I'm going to hook it up under and glue it to the top on each side. That way, this has something to bite against, okay? I want that to, be touching the underside of the fingerboard, but I also want it to be secured on each side, and I don't want it to roll when you're tightening the truss rod and actually go into the top, and kind of split that off. So I think I'll put a little cleat on each side of it just to reinforce that, and should be good to go. Now, you've got these shims here from, the neck reset and everything. That's also going to help kind of bind that in there nice. I'm going to really focus on filing that out perfectly so it fits good when I get it all installed. I want that kind of snug there too, and we should be good to go. So there's the mark. That's where the end of the truss rod will be. So it's in the first fret, kind of, and that's pretty much where the other one was. Then the slot just kind of ramps up. I may even fill in behind that too with just a piece. I mean, you don't have to, but it might just help stiffen that up a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's probably not going to affect the tone any. I'm not really nervous about it anyway. So everything went well, and like I said, the burring tool and the drill worked very, very nice. Now, I've got a bunch of burring tools because I have a metal lathe in the shop too, and this is what I'm getting at. These kind of things that machinists would use, okay? And, it's for deburring metal and things like that. And they also use them to, widen out a hole. There's all kinds of uses for them. So I've got a little collection going of them. And, if you get one, they have rounded tips on them. They have squared off tips. There's all kinds of different versions of these. See, that one's square. So if you find the right one, which I got lucky with that, and it worked very well. And like I said, I was able to just zip down through there a couple times, and boom, that was perfect. It was, it's still snug in there too. So that's just something to keep in mind. And, this fitment up here through the brace can be a little tricky. Whoop. I got to stop doing that. Thank God that's all under the fingerboard extension, right? So anyway, that stuff happens too, You try not to ding anything, but sometimes it does happen, folks. So, getting this fit right, so that way, as you can see, this is kind of offset, so the adjuster's allowed to go, under the top and through the brace. So that's a little tricky trying to get that so this square piece ends up level, okay? And, you don't want that to be down under the top, because when you press the rod in, it's going to lift this up, and it's probably going to just tear that right out. So there is a little bit of, planning for that and finesse work, but this should wake this up immensely. You're going to be able to, adjust the relief in the neck forever. Honestly, this really has made me think more about picking up some of these old Ks and, harmonies. They're great sounding guitars. They got good bones. They got good wood. They just don't have an adjustable truss rod. And, from what I've just seen right here, it's not that big of a deal. The truss rod was like 15 bucks delivered. You can buy a dual action truss rod, I think, for under $20 too. They're not that expensive. So anyway, that's where we're at, and we're just going to do a little more fine tuning, and we'll put this bad boy in, get the fretboard back on it, and everything glued and clamped, and we should be looking pretty good. I'd probably let that sit for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll put some strings on it and knock the okey dokes right out of her. Okey doke. Well, I just made those 2 little side pieces there to go between the neck block and that first lateral brace here. So what I'm doing here is just clamping them in. I just hit them with some super glue, and I actually put each piece in and just kind of held it up there for a second, then took a small piece of wood and went across both of them so I could catch it with one clamp. That seems to be holding them up there pretty tight. I think the neck channel's all ready to go. Once this stuff hardens up and I know it's secure, then we'll install the truss rod, and then we'll get the fretboard back on here, and I think we'll be in good shape. Okay, so there's a couple things that I need to keep in mind when I do this. Number one, this neck needs to be as straight as possible. That way when we glue the fretboard on, it's going to be in a good position. It's not going to have forward bow and glued in place like that. So the other thing you want to do, or at least I need to do, is make sure that the truss rod is straight also. Now this can introduce forward bow or back bow. So that needs to be straight as well. If not, some of it'll be sticking up out of the middle, or it may be sticking down in the middle, and that's really not optimum. We can't have anything sticking above the fretboard here, or the neck. So when we put the fretboard on, it's going to have a nice flat seat to sit on. Okay, so I just did one more little dry run on the truss rod. It was a little snug in the middle, so what I did was I took just a regular round file, like a chainsaw file, and I just pulled it back through there, just easy. I'm just trying to find out where it's tight. I can feel it kind of dragging in the middle there. That feels a lot better right there. Okay, so let's try a dry run. Alrighty, well, I'm going to start it back through the hole in the brace here. That's what you want to hear. Nice, good, snug fit. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm just checking to see if this is going to go all the way down, which it is. It's flush with the guitar neck. Now, you want to make sure that's flush. You don't want to depend on the fretboard to pinch this all together, okay? That fretboard is really brittle, and it's really easy to break them. So, you don't want to just depend on that. You just want to make sure you got a good fit here. A good snug fit like that is really ideal. And now we'll be able to put the fretboard on here without any issues. But I'm glad I did double check. It is still up a little bit right there. I guess I can get it down. Okay, so again, check everything 3 times before you get the glue out. Okay, let's get the glue right out. We got the fish glue out today. We're using Bench Q. I buy this on eBay. This is made in Searsport, Maine. Good stuff. I think it's like 30 bucks, 28, 29 bucks, something like that. I keep mine in the fridge and it lasts up to a year or more. Okay, it's always a good idea to dry run your clamping system too. What I'm using here is a couple pieces of old laminate flooring that has a padding on it, and that won't mess the wood up. I got a couple pieces of micro mesh foam in the ends, just because I don't want it to like pinch down and dent the ends. from the ends of the clamping jig. Then we're going to put one right on the top like this with the padded side on the frets, and we'll just pinch it in a few spots. I might wrap it with some tubing. You can use tape. You can do all kinds of different things to secure it. The main thing is getting it on there square and straight and in the position that it goes. All right, let's do it. All right, let's get some glue in a little container here. This stuff is really sticky, just like honey. And, you do get a pretty good work time with it, but it also kind of, like, locks things together pretty quick, too, which is nice. All right, a little bit more, just to be safe. Now, it's still a little bit cool. What I usually do is run it under the faucet, under hot water for a minute, and then just let it sit out for 15, 20 minutes, and you're usually ready to go. But that's the consistency. Okay, one last time. Just want to make sure that truss rod's down in there nice and flush. Everything feels pretty good there. All right, I think we're going to need more glue, definitely, but you can never have enough, I guess. Yeah, I got to get some more out. That is going to take more than I thought. All right, well, let's see what happens. Now, when I was just dry running this a little bit ago, I don't know if you guys can remember this, but there were a couple slivers of rosewood that peeled off the back of the fretboard here, so it was kind of a reference point for me as far as lining things up. Now, that's feeling pretty good right there. Just going to double check, make sure everything is nice and square, not sticking out more on one side than the other. And that's looking pretty good. All right, let's get a clamp on there. Okay, well, as you can see, we got a bunch of clamps on. I might add a few more too. This seems to work pretty good once you get it centered, At first, you got to be a little careful because the back of the neck is rounded. I have a flat piece here. I'm actually going to take a piece of PVC pipe or something and split it down the middle sometime and put some padding in it. That way I can put it on the back side of the neck and clamp to it and do all that. You can wrap them with surgical tube, electrical tape, like I said, whatever you got. I mean, as long as you get it down there and it's tight, that's all that matters. Now, the big deal right now is really just making sure the edges are flush, to the neck. On the back side, I can feel the very slightest lip, but, it may have shrunk, and that happens. So it may be that the neck had shrunk a little bit too. So it's good to try to get this stuff done as quick as you can, but, that doesn't always happen. Now, I didn't glue the fretboard extension down yet because I did a neck reset on this, and this needed a couple small shims, which I'm probably going to have to add back in there. We'll look at it after it's all set up. So right now, I think the best move is to finish wiping up some of the glue, some of the squeeze out. I've been working on that. That's a nice thing about fish glue. It's pretty easy to clean it up, and even after it dries, you can hit it with a wet cloth and get it off the finish, and that's why I like using fish glue. Hide glue works good too. You can use Titebond. You could use about anything. I do like the protein-based glue. It gives you a little more work time. It's more traditional, and when this stuff hardens up, it's almost like glass. It's really, really hard. I mean, and unlike some, aliphatic type glues like, Titebond, some of that stuff doesn't get quite that, brittle and hard. I've had good luck with this bench Q. It works good, and, I'm not endorsed by them, but So you can see the labels coming off from sticking it in the water. But again, it works good. It's never failed. And so if you plan on getting some for yourself, I just wanted to add that. I've had really good luck with it. So all we can do now is wait. And I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Now, hopefully that took some of the pucker factor away for you guys. This is the first time I've ever done this, so, it might seem kind of nonchalant the way I do things, but that's really true. That's just how I do things, but, you can't get too nervous. Try to get all your prep work done. Get your steps ready. Get your clamps ready. Get all that stuff kind of lined up. Do a few dry runs. And get everything ready before you get the glue out. That's the key. Once you have everything fit and, you know it's going to go back together right, putting the glue in's not a big deal. It's all the prep work, right? And patience. Now, again, you won't see this guitar probably for another 3 or 4 days, maybe a week. I'm going to let it harden up good. And like I said, I still need to glue the fretboard extension down. So if I don't get to that tomorrow, I'm going to let that sit for 3 or 4 days too once I get that glued down. I think it's just good practice. And, like I said, this stuff does cure pretty quick. I'd say 24 to 48 hours. It's probably decent. I tend to let things go a little longer, and that's just me. You can judge that on your own, but I usually wait 3 or 4 days with this type of glue just to be sure. And, I don't want to have to go back through this mess again. So a couple days of waiting's not a big price to pay. Well, all right, folks. I really do appreciate you checking out my videos. Welcome to all the new subscribers that are showing up daily. This is kind of how it is, folks. Check my playlists out, too. I've got 600 plus videos on this stuff. Not just repair work, but, guitar demos, amps, guitar lessons. Pretty much anything to do with guitar, it's probably on there. Let's just say that. I'm not a professional. I just do this as a hobby. And it keeps me getting up every day. And you guys seem to enjoy it too. So that's a good thing too. All right, we'll see you guys real soon. Be good. Okie doke.